All right, former council member Derek Green, thank you so much for being with us.
No problem. Always a pleasure to be with both of you. Pleasure to see you virtually and miss being in City Hall.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so the big question of the day, the one question we want to ask you is, what are you going to do about poverty when elected mayor?
Well, poverty is an issue that's been a historic problem in our city. As someone who's been both a small business owner and a small business lender, we need to have an administration that really focuses on how we grow small businesses. And that will be part of my plan as mayor, not only really helping to grow small businesses through things I've done in the past, like to fit up a public financial authority to give access to credit to small businesses to grow, especially on our commercial corridors, making it easier for small businesses to operate in the city of Philadelphia. We have way too many regulations that impact small business owners, but also being creative, looking at initiatives like the 110 initiative started by Philadelphia native Ken Frazier, who is now the chairman, president, and CEO emeritus of Merck, where he's really focusing on Black and Brown citizens around the nation by having a strategic focus here in Philadelphia on how we help people that may not have a four-year degree, but to help them get into jobs at corporations. You have a number of corporations that have jobs and a number of people that do not have jobs, but the gap is the skill set and how we can work with organizations like 110. There's a new chair of the board of the Community College of Philadelphia, that being Harold Epps, our former commerce director, and working on really creating a pipeline of training to help young people and more seasoned people to get into jobs, as well as looking at other opportunities and work with our school district to put young people on a better path. That's something that, from my experience, we've lost the focus. When my mother taught in a school district and she was in the school district for 31 years, 26 years at Allenly High School, Allenly had one of the best auto body shops in the city. If you came out of Allenly, you can go right to Wilkie Buick on Broad Street and get a job. Well, we've kind of gotten away from that focus. Everything is a only college focus, and we're not exposing young people to all the opportunities we have in our city. And so through a green administration, we're going to double down on exposing young people, growing small businesses, and trying to link people with jobs that are available.
Okay. Denise, do you want to go first?
Sure. I guess my first question for you is, based on how you're looking at this, which is from a business perspective, which is a good perspective. How do we, because there's issues with the minimum wage and stuff that we have to deal with as well. If you become mayor, how are you going to approach the legislature in Harrisburg to get them to raise the minimum wage, and most importantly, to stop thwarting Philadelphia's efforts to raise its own minimum wage?
Well, it's not just thwarting Philadelphia, it's thwarting the cities around the Commonwealth. I'm the past president of the Pennsylvania Municipal League, and so I know a number of mayors throughout Pennsylvania. Many have been stifled by the same issue. I think about mayors like Denise Shirachi, who's mayor of Lancaster, or Paige Cognetti, who's the mayor of Scranton, or Mike Lombardo, the mayor of Pittston, or Sal Panto, the mayor of Easton. All these cities are dealing with a lot of the same issues that we're dealing with here in Philadelphia. The difference is commas and zeros. So working with mayors to then, talk to their constituents and say, we've got to make changes in Harrisburg. That also can put pressure on members of the General Assembly who think that the things they're doing in Harrisburg will only impact Philadelphia, when it also impacts their constituents as well around the Commonwealth. Is having that background and experience and relationships will help to move some of the issues in Harrisburg now that we have continue to have a Democratic governor. And now we will hopefully have a Speaker McClinton. So at least we have 2/3 of the leadership in Harrisburg that understand some of the issues that we're dealing with here in Philadelphia, and issues that cities around the Commonwealth are dealing with. So it's important to have a coalition of mayors who are also pushing a similar agenda, but also communicating to their citizens in parts of all around the Pennsylvania why this is an important issue, and that will help put some movement on members of the General Assembly.
But a lot of them are kind of stuck in their ways when it comes to Philadelphia. And in a way, I mean, let's be honest here. Were not for the city of Philadelphia and the taxes on tourism and things that it generates, the rest of the Commonwealth would have to try to make do on what it gets from the Steelers and the Farm Show. And it's not nearly as much. So how can you as mayor kind of get the folks in Harrisburg to realize that when Philadelphia comes to you and says, say, we need money to start programs to help our citizens become better equipped to be a part of the 21st century workforce, or we need programs, we need money to start programs that will help our schools be better equipped to teach the children in the future. How do you do that in a way that lets them know that, hey, we're not asking for your money, we're asking for our money?
Well, I think part of the way we do that is not only working with mayors from around the Commonwealth, but going to Harrisburg as a region. As someone who knows, Ken Lawrence, and I knew Val Arkush, who was a former Montgomery County Commissioner. She's now Pennsylvania Secretary of Health, just like our governor is a former Montgomery County Commissioner, and also the commissioners in Bucks and Chester County, and I think about Delaware County Council, Dr. Monica Taylor. I'm doing more of a regional approach to say, listen, the city of Philadelphia is the key part, I would say the keystone of this region. And this region is the keystone for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So as Philadelphia goes, there goes the region. As the region goes, there goes the Commonwealth. But we have to be more willing to have those conversations about how this is going to be beneficial for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but also be willing to show up. I attended the Pennsylvania Chamber of Commerce's dinner this year, like I've done before the pandemic. The fact that, when they said, Derek, you're probably the only Philadelphia elected official that has been here in years. And I did that as an at-large member of city council. We need to show up and advocate, just like I advocate to the Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce, that the issues of gun violence is not an isolated issue, will impact your business and your ability to retain and attract employees and grow your companies if you're not part of this public safety issue. The same message I will take to the Pennsylvania Chamber of Commerce, that in order for Pennsylvania to grow, Philadelphia and the region also has to be strong. And that's a message that will also resonate, and we'll need to do some advocacy with the General Assembly. But trying to do it as a go alone strategy is not going to be effective, considering we know the dynamics of Harrisburg. So we're going to have to use partners who have allied interests and say, listen, we're trying to enhance Pennsylvania by enhancing the region. And by enhancing the region, you're going to benefit Philadelphia.
Now, regionalism is something that's been talked about before. Former Mayor Michael Nutter talked about it a lot. It's come up more than once. And having covered suburban counties, particularly Bucks, whenever they hear regionalism, they hear Philly is trying to take money from us. How do you get around that perception?
Well, part of that perception goes from not having a conversation with those leaders. I'm not talking to like the Bob Harveys, Bucks County, and Diane Marsiglia, who the Bucks County commissioners, and getting a sense of what are the pressing issues you're dealing with, and how can we be a partner with you on some of the things you're thinking about. As I look at the bipartisan infrastructure law, there's competitive grants that we as a city and also region could possibly work together. So I think it's too much of the you versus us. It's an and perspective, but having those conversations to find out what are the critical challenges that Bucks County is having, Chester, Delco, Monco, and how can we work to be cooperative? I know in Montgomery County, one of the big issues is the King of Prussia rail line that will benefit Montgomery County, but also benefit Philadelphia, because we have so many Philadelphians who live in our city, but work outside of Philadelphia in King of Prussia and have to take multiple bus routes to get there. So we got to think of what are the issues and concerns, and having that regular dialogue so that we know what are the ways that we can partner together. So that way, as we're moving and trying to address these issues in Harrisburg, we're doing it from a united front, because we've now developed some track record of communication and also a track record of working together. So we're doing things to help benefit not only Philadelphia, but also the region.
Okay, I'm gonna give you back to Larry McGlynn, my co-host here on Philadelphia Hall Monitor, which you're listening to on WPPM 106.5.
Thank you, Denise. Uh, Councilman, you had talked about small business. How difficult is it to start a small business in Philadelphia right now?
It's incredibly difficult. And I know I just go back from my experiences when my wife and I had a small business, a small retail shoe store on Germantown Avenue. The fact getting a business privilege license and a tax account, just learning that you've got gross receipts tax as well as a net income portion of the business income receipt tax, and just going through all the various regulations. I literally was just talking to a small business owner yesterday, and as part of my campaign, I'm visiting a small business every single day. And she told me it took her 9 months to get all the licenses that she needed to open up her restaurant. And then she had to deal with other issues with her liquor license and working with members of the community. And so that puts a strong and heavy burden on business owners. And as a former lender, I know that time is money. So every day you're not open, that's another day that you are paying expenses, maybe interest on a mezzanine financing loan or other expenses that you're not getting as revenue to offset those expenses. So it makes it very challenging. And from my experience as a national president of Democratic municipal officials and also serving on the executive committee of the National League of Cities, I've seen other cities where you go right on their website and it's a one-stop shop. You hit a link and you get all the information you need on how to start that type of business. And some cities also detail on their websites, these are the top businesses that are opening in our city. So it sends a message that the city is open for business. That is not the message that we've been sending as a city, and we're going to change that in the green administration.
Okay. A key piece of legislation you passed and shepherded through City Council over a number of years was the idea of a public bank. How does that factor into poverty reduction?
Well, one of the things that I remember and saw firsthand when I was a small business lender with Meridian Bank, I brought in Glenwood, was the history of redlining and how redlining, was, based in the process where lenders, insurance agents, others would literally make a red line and circle parts of the city that were traditionally Black and brown and would not lend or provide insurance in those communities. So I saw the impact that had over the years when I was a banker. Now, as we go into this time period, not only from my experience as a member of City Council, but also a small business owner, I saw that same issue impact businesses to grow. And the big issue that a lot of small businesses, especially Black and brown businesses, talk about lack of access to credit. Because many business owners, because of some of the historical injustices that we've dealt with, especially in the African American community, don't have the collateral resources that our competitor businesses have. So having this Philadelphia Public Financial Authority creates a way to provide access to credit through either a letter of credit or credit enhancement to make it easier for these businesses to become bankable. And when you think about this issue of poverty and public safety, the fact that back-to-back years, we've had over 500 homicides. The African American population in the city of Philadelphia is 39, 40%. Hispanic population is 15 to 18%. But only 6% of the businesses with employees are owned by African Americans, and only 4% of the businesses with employees are owned by our brothers and sisters in the Latin diaspora. That ties into all these issues. So trying to help those businesses to grow, to have more employees, will help provide more jobs in our city. Also will help to grow our general fund so we can reduce our taxes. And one of the best ways to address public safety is to give someone a job. And the best job creators are small businesses. So we can help businesses to grow through the Public Financial Authority by giving them better access to credit. Then we're going to help address the poverty issue and the public safety issue in Philadelphia.
So let's fast forward to January of 2024. You've been inaugurated. You've been in office for a couple of days. What are the immediate things you're going to do to help alleviate poverty?
Well, the immediate thing we're going to do to help alleviate poverty is one, to launch, the Philadelphia Public Financial Authority. We're going to make sure that board is appointed and they get up and running. We're also going to immediately start to enact initiatives with Community College of Philadelphia, also with 110, as I talked about earlier, on trying to create that pathway. Also, because that'll be January and summer will be coming soon, the goal will be to double the number of jobs that the Philadelphia Youth Network does every year. Years ago, when late Charlie Bowser was involved in Urban Affairs Coalition, they provided 10, 15,000 jobs to the Philadelphia Youth Network. I want to get back to that level. This past year, we had about 8,000 jobs. I want to double that. So we have more jobs, expose young people to the careers and opportunities we have in the city of Philadelphia. So we're going to work on growing jobs through those programs like 110 and getting people into those jobs, helping young people get jobs through the Philadelphia Youth Network, as well as get the Philadelphia Public Finance Authority launched and help to grow these issues. But also we're going to address the public safety issue from the first day in office through my plan of getting guns off our streets, where we're going to have a 25% or more reduction in shootings in the city of Philadelphia.
All right, Councilmember Green, thank you so much for being with us.
No problem. Thank you. Always a pleasure.